Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise, and in this one we're going to be breaking down the gameplay that Capcom just showed on their TGS livestream. If you missed it, I uploaded the full thing for you to watch on the channel, link down below, but this time I want to whip out the microscope and go over all the tiny details. I decided to edit this video in the quick start format, so what that basically means is I'm about to cover a metric ton of information incredibly quickly. I also want to give a massive shout out to Maisy aka Maisy on Twitter, who very kindly helped with the translation on the second gameplay segment that was all in Japanese. Thanks to her, I'm able to bring you guys even more information that was not in English. You can find a link to her Twitter in the description box down below. But here are 42 things that we now know about Monster Hunter Rise from the recent gameplay. Let's go. Number 1, we got our first look at the brand new UI. Keep in mind this is still work in progress, so things are subject to change, but we see a lot of familiar stuff here. In the top left hand corner we have our health, stamina and sharpness bars as usual, although now it seems that health and stamina bars seemingly display your maximum potential alongside your current health, indicating how much you can increase it with max potions and rations. Number 2, the monster tracking icons have now moved to the top right hand corner, and clicking in the right stick will allow you to switch the monster you are currently focusing on, much more akin to the layout we had in Generations Ultimate. Number 3, the map is now in the bottom left hand corner and goes to show the fantastic new seamless open layout. Absolutely love this one, and we also got to see later on in the gameplay that you can zoom in on this map to see some of the collectible items, things like mining nodes, all that good stuff. Number 4, we also appear to have a new quest tracking system on the left hand side of the screen, showing that at this current moment in time the target monster has not been slain. Number 5, we have the familiar item layout in the bottom right hand corner, and we can once again access items in either the traditional scrolling menu or with the radial menu added in Monster Hunter World. We also have the shortcuts panel introduced in World, so that is a nice quality of life feature that is also present in Rise. Number 6, to the left of the item wheel, we also have a new element called the action slider. This allows you to issue orders to your Palamute and your Palico. You can use it to call the Palamute, climb on top of it, but also mess around with fun, playful actions like petting it, shaking its hand, good stuff like that. Number 7, this can also be done with the Palico too, because no animals are left out, but this stuff is purely for fun. Number 8, whilst riding your Palamute, you don't lose stamina, and you can use items whilst on the back of it, much like you could with the Raider Ride in Iceborne. Number 9, the Palamute is also great at climbing, so you can use it to scale buildings and cliffs, you can dash with it, and it'll even grab onto select ledges. 10, we then got to look inside the tent, and it appears to function in a very similar manner to World and Iceborne. From this area you see your hunter sitting down with your equipped weapon alongside your companions. The menu options are as follows. Item box, Otomo board, which is of course for your dog, have a meal, so you can of course sit down here and eat, and leave the tent. And then within the item box menu you have the option to change your gear and also replenish your items. They didn't show all the menus, but this does of course confirm that we are able to change gear mid-quest and we can replenish our items, so again, quality of life from World present in Rise. Number 11, they also confirmed that all 14 weapons will be returning, but they said they'll be showing those off at a later date. Number 12, for the wire bug, you'll notice there is another new UI element on the screen. By default, you begin with 2 charges. When used, these will go into cooldown. Interesting observation, the cooldown whilst out of combat seems to be much quicker than when in combat, which makes sense. However, in at number 13, around the world you can find plenty of endemic life, and this one in particular is another wire bug. You can collect these for additional one-use charges. Once you use them, they're gone. 14, you can quite literally use the wire bug to get anywhere. It seems like no corner of the map is off limits aside from, the outer walls. In number 15, you can also swing mid-air and seemingly dangle from mid-air for what appears to be an indefinite time limit. There's no stamina cost for hanging from the wire bug, but once you drop down from it, the cooldown does begin. Number 16, there is also a great wire bug that can be found in the world, which acts like a giant propulsion device, basically a chance to scale a huge distance incredibly quickly, but it is one-time use though. Number 17, when climbing a cliff naturally, you can scale it pretty rapidly, but your stamina also tanks pretty quickly. Interesting note here, however, you can use the wire bug amidst this to sort of act like a stamina reset. This gives me distinct Breath of the Wild vibes as a means to basically kind of reset your climbing stamina cooldown and just keep going for longer. 18, furthermore, there are other endemic life elements. These bugs, for example, when collected, will actually extend your health or your stamina, depending on the ones that you pick up. You'll notice that when you pick them up, they have a little sort of +3 number, and you'll actually notice that your health bar or your stamina bar will go up by a chunk. I'm guessing that the new sort of quadrants or segments on the stamina bar and the health bar show that there is a limit to how many of these you can collect, but either way, collecting them will of course boost your respective bars. 19, you'll also find other endemic life hidden around the world, so be sure to check bushes and other areas as you explore. Speaking of endemic life, in number 20, it also seems that the Melanxes have made a return. They are basically the cats that will steal your items, so rip your traps when you're going on quests. Number 21, now moving on to some of the battle mechanics. First up, paintballs are not in this game. You can see the monsters on the map once you track them. Number 22, there is also an owl mechanic, which is seen in the trailer, where you can send off the owl to scout the area to try and find the monster. 23, damage numbers are back. I imagine these are placeholder design because they do look a little bit rough, but we'll see. Number 24, blood is also back, something a lot of people always ask about in Monster Hunter. This is present in game. Number 25, when looking at both the dual blades and the longsword from the second stream, it seems the weapons are using Monster Hunter World and Iceborne as a base, but they do have new moves. Number 26, speaking of which, the dual blades are actually held differently. One is now held forward, one is held backward, which looks incredibly awesome, and while some of the animations may look slightly different, the underlying behaviour does still seem to align with that of World. Number 27, every weapon has a number of wirebug attacks. The exact number has not been specified, but there do seem to be some constants that we have seen. For example, number 28, when the hunter throws out the wirebug in a straight line, this is typically a counter move, where if the monster hits the bug, it allows the weapon to perform some kind of counter follow-up attack. We've seen this most notably with the gun lance in the initial trailer, but have also seen it with the charge blade, and they managed to pull it off live during the gameplay. Number 29, the dual blades also appear to have a move where it can wrap the bug around the monster and remain tied to it for a short period of time. It seems you can perform a bespoke move from here, but the exact execution wasn't 100% clear. In some instances, the hunter performs this move and instantly pulls themselves into what almost looks like the spinning Beyblade move for the dual blades, but it could be ever so slightly different. Number 30, you also have the ability to grapple mid-air and can use this to perform aerial attacks. For the dual blades, this allows them to dive bomb the monster. Number 31, they also mentioned that some wirebug moves can power up your attacks, and if you notice in some of the gameplay clips following the wirebug attack, there's a blue colouring behind some of the damage numbers. Not entirely sure what this is, but if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say it links to the wirebug damage boost perhaps. 32, for the longsword we have an updated UI element to depict your spirit gauge, same functionality, but it's just a curved blade this time, like a katana, in keeping with the Japanese theme of the game. 33, the longsword now has an awesome new wirebug aerial attack where you leap up, leap off the monster, then plunge your sword downwards, again seeing those blue numbers, so I'm pretty sure that indicates the boosted wirebug damage, perhaps. However, it's worth noting this move has two forms. If you have your spirit gauge charge and your sword is either white, yellow or red, this will be the spirit helm breaker. Meanwhile, with no charge, it is just a downward plunge. Interestingly, without charge, the stab does seem to fill your meter with blue charge, like wirebug charge, which you can seemingly then use to pull off a spirit combo to build your charge. 34, EI Sheath, and by extension EI Slash, appears to have made a return in Rise. We see the hunter perform the spirit combo, and then go into an EI Sheath, and later on perform an EI Slash. 35, one of the longsword's more powerful moves that consumes 2 wirebugs is a counter. This sees the bug deployed in a sort of spiderweb-like lattice or a water structure, according to the stream, where if the monster hits this, you perform a powerful counter strike. We also see that it consumes your bar or your spirit gauge, so there's definitely going to be a power component to that. 36. Additionally, it's worth noting that the refresh rate of your wirebugs in combat will differ based on both the move and the weapon. So I'd imagine, much like in say Generations Ultimate, some Hunter arts had quicker cooldowns, others longer, similar sort of thing with the wirebugs. 37. Furthermore, some weapons will require 2 wirebug charges, as we saw with the longsword, while others will only use 1. So I guess in a similar comparison point to Hunter arts from previous games, some require longer to charge, and you could say that of course some of the more potent moves here would require more charges. Again, same thing, it's basically a balancing choice. The more powerful the move, the more charges you're going to require. 38. Now outside of combat, a few more things to note. When flinching a monster and causing them to drop a shiny, that now has a new animation with this little sort of white line or beacon sticking out of it, which makes it far more obvious to see. This is actually very similar to a user mod from World, which is very cool. 39, we also have confirmation that auto combine is back. As you're running around the world, you can grab items and have them combine for you. So both fast gathering and auto combine return. Number 40, you can also toggle hunter voices. You probably heard some of the shoutouts during the trailer. I personally like this, but if you don't, you can turn them down or turn them off completely. 41, there also appear to be some other endemic life you can collect that award points. Whether these are like guild points, quest points, or maybe research points, I'm unsure at this stage. But basically, explore the world, collect everything, because they want you to have some fun. And then 42, very last thing, just something that I personally really liked, but the new item box has these little sort of fans by it, which I think is just a nice little touch. But But that, my friends, is pretty much it. That's a rundown of all the little details from the gameplay. There may be some bits that I missed, and if I did, let me know in the comments down below. But for now, that is a huge amount of information that is incredibly exciting. I can't wait to see more gameplay. I loved absolutely everything that I saw, and I am now even more excited for the game if that's even possible. If you guys enjoyed this video, then of course a like would be super appreciated. Be sure to share it with your friends or anyone else that you know that likes Monster Hunter, and of course if you're excited for Rise or just anything Monster Hunter related, then keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.